Hi everyone, it's Mike. So I thought I would do a review of the Mahindra 2555 HST tractor. I bought it new in 2017 and right now it's got close to 500 hours on it, about 480, 490. And I see some of these coming on the used market. And I thought it might be helpful to people who are looking at them. Give you my opinion of them after 5 years and about 500 hours on it. Overall, I'd say I'm very pleased with it and I would buy it again. So let's go over some of the things about the tractor. As I said, it's a Mahindra 2555 HST hydrostatic transmission, low, medium, and high range. And if you look at my previous videos, you'll see I've used it extensively for all kinds of things. I have a set of pallet forks on it. It's 42-inch long forks over here. And I'll say I wish I would have gotten longer forks, either 46 or 48 inches, because when you're sitting on a tractor, you can't see the tip when it's on the ground to get it to go under the area of the pallet. So sometimes I have to stand up and then step on the pedal to guide it in slowly. So if it was a 46 or a 48 inch, I could probably see it from the seat without having to stand up. But yeah, the pallet forks work great. I would say the lift capacity I think is around 3,000 pounds as it says in the brochure or the manual, whatever. And I gotta say, it's probably just about spot on. I've lifted a pallet of cement bags with it, about 2,600 pounds. And the reason why it doesn't go to 3,000 is because it's measured at the pins over here. And when you're lifting a pallet, it's extended out, so you have less ability to lift up to 3,000 pounds. When you measure it, it's usually done at the pins, 3,000 pounds. Anyway, I was able to lift it to full height without an issue. Other things I have is a 6-foot brush hog, which I use extensively. I usually cut down heavy grass and some small saplings, about an inch, maybe an inch and a half wide. That's about it. I don't cut anything thicker than that with it. I really don't have much thicker than that. I have a single lid grapple, 6-foot single lid grapple, works great. Front bucket for the loader. And got a post hole digger, which I used to do over 100 holes with, and that worked fine. Over here I've got the 6-foot box blade, and that has worked very good. And over there a smaller rear blade, and over here I have a hydraulic power angle 7-foot rear blade. This way when I angle it to plow snow, which is mainly what I use it for, it still covers the wheels in the back, 6 feet. There was something else I wanted to mention. Oh, yeah, on the box blade, whenever I use any kind of a ground engagement attachment, such as the box blade with the rippers down, I always use low gear and I go slow because it could catch roots or rocks under the ground. And I don't want it to break anything on the tractor. I'd rather have the wheels slip. But if you see here, I hit a boulder that was just under the ground, and you could see how it bent this tooth. And they're obviously replaceable. They sell them at Tractor Supply, but I don't bother because it's good enough for me, just the way it is. And as I said, it does have 3 ranges: low, medium, and high. I've used all 3. The high I've used on a roadway, either blacktop or chip and tar road. The back roads tend to be chip and tar on it. And the high range, gets me. I've got a steep hill on one road down here, on a chip and tar road. And when it's in high range, I just barely get up to the top without stalling. So what I did after that was I put it in medium range at the base of that hill and then I'll go up. This won't have to worry about it stalling out halfway up or me having to put the brakes on and having to switch to medium. So I always go on medium. Besides that, high range on these roads up here, there's a lot of potholes and stuff, and it gets really bouncy because there is no suspension on the tractor. And especially if I'm having, I also have a backhoe for it. With the backhoe, when I take the backhoe on the public roads to go to another house, I only use either low or medium, because that's a lot of weight to be bouncing down the road, and it could end up stressing out the metal and cracking it, you know, somewhere in the tractor or the backhoe. It has four-wheel drive, and I've used the four-wheel drive extensively. It works great. I also bought a set of chains, all-around chains for all the tires, so I can plow going up the driveway in the winter as well when it's icy. And let's see some other features on this. It came with one set of rear hydraulics. Over here. And they have a Daytona, and I added the other set at the dealership before they delivered it. I wanted to have two sets on here. This way, like I said, the rear blade I have for this has a hydraulic angle on it. And what I may do someday, I'm watching the deer run across here. And to get back to what I was talking about, what I may do someday is get a hydraulic top link. Then I'll be using the other set as well at the same time. But the one set of hydraulics that came with it, the rear remotes, has a detente, I think it's called. Is it this one? No, it's this one. So as you can see here, if I were to push it forward, it stays locked in and it keeps trying to pump and pump and pump. So if I had the rear blade on and I'm angling it by pushing this forward, it's going to end up going to the maximum position and it's still going to try and pump. So I have to remember to put this back into neutral. But the reason why they have a detente on this is because when the backhoe is hooked up, or if I got a hydraulic log splitter, you want this to stay locked in so it keeps pushing the hydraulic fluid to the backhoe, and you can work the back arms with those levers. But it's important, if you don't have the backhoe or the log splitter hooked up, to put this back into neutral when you're done angling it or using it. Otherwise you can hear the engine bog down some. And it's probably not good for the hydraulic pump either. And this is the one they added. And this one automatically returns to neutral when you let it go. So we're very pleased with the tractor. It's done a lot of work around here. A lot of heavy duty work. And let's see what else I wanted to mention. Things I have added to the tractor. After I had it delivered. Oh, some other things I had them do at the dealership before it was delivered. Rim guard in both rear tires, which added an additional about 400 pounds to each tire. And unless you're going to be using this in wet, soft fields, you really need to have that additional ballast on the back if you're going to get the full capacity out of your loader. What else did I have them do? Oh yeah, I had them also add on an engine block heater. Because in the winter sometimes it gets to 12 below here, and I didn't want to have problems, so before they delivered it I had them add an engine block heater and just plug it in. I think that was it. Yeah. So things I added on after delivery. I added on third function kit. That's electric over hydraulic. So on the other side of this lever there's a little switch here, and it opens and closes the lid on a grapple. And the kit mounts, I don't know if you could, it might be hard to see, but right over here there's a other ports. So I tapped into the Power Beyond port up here, and it goes down to the other valve here. What else did I add? Oh, I added on wheel spacers, 1.5 inches on each side. And the main reason why I did that is because when I had chains on, it would occasionally rub the inside here. It also added a little bit more stability to the tractor on hills. And as you could probably, maybe you can see, I have white witness marks on the back here. And that tells me, since I can't see the bolts that are holding the wheel spacers on, I need to see if they're loosening up, and that was the best way I could do it, was put witness marks on the back here where you see the bolts. And if they no longer line up, that tells me that the bolts are coming loose. And I'll tell you, when you're moving around these tires that are loaded, you've got to be really careful, because they weigh 500-600 pounds altogether. And if that falls on you, it can easily break some bones or even kill you. So you got to be real careful taking those off. What else did I add on this? Oh, the lights, yeah. So I added, hopefully you can see it, there's a bar light here and a bear claw there and there. And I got some wire protector from Harbor Freight and zip tied it on there. And they're held on by the magnets. And I can just turn it any direction I need. The lights, when you have the loader on at night, or if I'm plowing snow at night, it's really difficult to see. LED lights are awesome. They really light up everything around the tractor. What I did was I tapped into a 12-volt line here that wasn't being used, and it only gets power when the key is turned on. Now, I tried getting the same, as you can see over here probably, the green buttons. I tried getting those same green buttons for here, but I could not find them anywhere but Mahindra dealership, and they wanted $65 each, which was ridiculous for 2 light up switches. I picked these up for about $2 each, a couple of dollars for shipping, and I just wired it in myself. And you can't, well, you can just see it's just lit now, but it's so bright out it's hard to tell. But they work great. And I put them on, so the bear claws, the 2 bear claws are on one relay, and the bar light is on another relay. I do have to get a smaller fuse. Right now it's up to a 30 amp fuse because that's what came with the relay. I'm going to drop it down to a 2 amp blade fuse. I just keep forgetting to do it. Other things I've added onto the tractor are this rear box. There is no storage capacity on the tractor at all. That's something that Mahindra should improve upon, make sure it's on all of their tractors. But I got 2 hooks from Tractor Supply or one of the hardware stores. I had some scrap wood, and I just built this to hold some stuff. I also bolted on some old PVC pipe, and here I usually put the chainsaw. And on this one I got brackets from Tractor Supply. Let me try to close it. There we go. I got these brackets from Tractor Supply because I did not want to drill through the roll bar and compromise it. And some old PVC pipe, and I have the cordless reciprocating saw, so I'm driving along, and if there's a low branch I could just get the saw and cut it real quick. Here's two more brackets that face the other direction. And I always carry a fire extinguisher on a tractor. Now, as you can see here, I've got a piece of tape which I can easily just rip off. If you don't have this on here, then the insects build their nest inside the nozzle, and it won't work when you go to use it. It'll be plugged up. But yeah, I always carry a fire extinguisher on a tractor because many years ago I had another tractor, and the hydraulic line popped, and it got on the exhaust, and it started a fire. And I ran like hell back to the house to get a fire extinguisher and put it out, and put the grass out that caught on fire as well. Had to replace some other hoses and some electrical that burned up, but fortunately that was about it. I used to have two on here, but I used one when family members were following me in a golf cart, and the golf cart caught fire. So now I just have the one. You gotta have at least one fire extinguisher on the tractor. I also added this ammo can for storage. It's out of the way, so I can still come up here and get on this way. Actually, it's a little tight right here, but I could just move this into float position, and I have plenty of room to get on. I found a nut that was not being used on the floorboard. It was welded on underneath, and I just found a bolt right in there. Drilled the hole through the ammo can, and it stays right on there. Let's see. Oh, I also added on here. Over here is the engine block heater that the dealership added. It just gets plugged in. Over here is, I bought some of these pigtails, quick connects. I put one on the battery, and on my battery charger I cut the, on one battery charger I cut the two clips off, and I put this another quick connect on the end. This way, in the winter time, I plug it into an extension, and I leave it plugged in along with the engine block heater, and have the other end of the extension plugged into a outlet that is wirelessly controlled. This way, if I'm at work or I'm out someplace or whatever, and if I want to plow that night, what I do is I just get on my app on a phone, I turn on the outlet, and it tops off the battery. It's a 2-amp charger, tops off the battery, and it warms up the engine block, so it's ready to go when I get home. I think that's about all I've added to it. Yeah. So the tractor has worked great. Other things I've done, I added some, besides the witness marks I showed you already, I added some old inner tube I picked up at various car shops, some old inner tube, and I wrap it around the hydraulic hoses to protect it from rubbing and wearing out. Instead of doing that, what I'm going to do going forward is just buy some 3/4 inch heater hose, slice one side of it, wrap it around, and zip tie it, and that'll last much longer. And it'll bend a little bit easier, follow the bend as well. Things I wish Mahindra would improve upon on any of their tractors. On this one, the bucket level indicator is right here, and as you can see, it's not on. The one that came with the tractor, you know, when you're doing work in the woods, you forget about that, and it sticks up really high sometimes when you have the bucket retracted, and you forget about it, and it gets caught under branches and stuff, and it bends all the way over. I did it twice. I bent it back, and I got it to work again, And the third time it happened, I could not get it straight. So that became garbage. What I did was, I got some, I think it was 1/2-inch pipe that fit in here. And threaded rod that fit inside the 1/2-inch pipe with a couple of nuts at the end. And I made that my bucket level indicator. So now I don't even use it in the summertime. I really don't need it in the summer. I need it more in the winter time to tell me when the bucket is level on the ground, so I don't dig into my gravel. So I just bolt it back on in the winter, right before winter starts. The other thing I wish they would improve upon, I mean, this loader handle is fine where it's at for me. I mean, it kind of would be nice if it was over here, but then again, if it was, I'd probably get a load of crap, mud and salt or whatever underneath it. So here it's probably better, and I really don't mind it up there. I still get on and off from this side. I wish the roll bar, you could see how it pivots at the bottom. What a pain in the ass. It's very heavy. I added these ropes to help me lower it and raise it. It really should be pivoted right about here instead of the bottom, and then it would be much easier to raise and lower. Let's see. Idiot lights or warning lights. It would be great if there was here's the lever for to engage four-wheel drive when you lift it up. It would be great if there was a warning light on the dash that would tell me when it's engaged, because sometimes I forget. And I don't want it in four-wheel drive, or there's no need for me to have it in four-wheel drive and, wear out the components. Especially if you're going down blacktop road, you don't want it in four-wheel drive. The other idiot light I wish it had, or warning light, would be for that rear port that has the detente on it. It would be nice if there was a light that would be on anytime it was engaged. This way you don't forget that it is engaged and maybe robbing power from the tractor and things like that. What else? Just looking around to see. Oh, this lever here, I think that's in medium now, or it might be low. I think that's low. It's a little bit in the way. Right now I've got this tilted up all the way, the steering column, which is the way I like it. But it would be nice if this was turned back the other way. I'll have to look into that. Maybe I can loosen this up and just turn it 90 degrees or 180 degrees and have it face backwards. Or maybe turn it 90 degrees this way and just have it face this way. It does get in the way sometimes getting on and off, but it's not too bad as long as I have the steering wheel tilted up, which is the way I always keep it anyway, because that's where I feel comfortable with it. Let's see. That's about it. It does have the skid steer quick attach, which is great. I wish they had a much better grill. It's a plastic grill behind this screen, and that just breaks out in pieces. You can see there's a hole over here, maybe another hole at the bottom. Luckily it didn't puncture any of the radiators in there or the coolers. So I added this screen onto the front to help protect it a little bit more. But there's no reason why that should be made out of plastic, the grill. Make it out of metal and put on, or at least offer the ability to buy a really good screen guard. It's ridiculous. So I had to add that screen in the front to help protect it to some degree. Let's see. It also would be nice if they offered an option for an, some kind of an Under Armour protector, because you got to be careful about branches getting up underneath there and ripping out wires or plumbing or putting holes in the various filters. But if they were going to do that, they should really offer a heavy-duty cooling for the hydraulic oil, engine oil, and the radiator, because it's going to end up retaining a lot of heat if they did that. Let's see. I think that's about it for improvements and such. Alright, let's talk about issues I've had with this. There's only been a few. First one is sometimes it's difficult to get the hood latch to work and have the hood come up. But I think I figured out what it is. You just got to end up shifting the hood back and forth some, and then you're able to move the lever in the front. But if it doesn't, boy, what a nightmare it is to get that open if that latch doesn't work. I replaced the battery once on this about 2 years ago. The original one died out pretty quick after 3 years. And that's the other reason why I decided to add the charger on here. And always in the winter time when I'm ready, a few hours before I'm ready to use it, I'll wirelessly turn on the outlet and it'll charge up the battery and warm up the engine block. But even in winter time, it starts up, works great. Another issue I had was this has a air intake heater, and when you turn on the key, you just maybe see it right there. There's a little coil that's lit up. Maybe you can see it, maybe not. It's right over there. That goes off after about 15 seconds, and that warms up the air intake. Now, just at the start of last winter, it stopped working. It was no big deal, because like I said, I had the engine block heater on there, so it still was able to start up fairly easily. But I had to replace, there's a relay under the hood. It's when you lift the hood, it's right about over here in this position. And there's two relays right next to each other. And the relay was burned up. And as I was saying, there's two relays there, both exactly the same. One is for the air intake heater. The other is for glow plugs. Now, I don't think this has glow plugs. It's either or. You either get the air intake heater or you get glow plugs. I don't think you have both on the tractor. So what I did was I took the relay from the glow plugs. Like I said, I don't think there's any glow plugs on here, and I just swapped it out with the other one for the air intake heater, and it's been working fine. Let's see. And the last issue I have with the tractor, I still have, I didn't get around to fixing it yet, is the PTO seal leaks. Not much. It's been leaking since I would say last fall, and since then I've had to add maybe a quart of hydraulic oil to it. That's all. But I do have a new oil seal for it, and it doesn't look too bad to change at all. I'll do a video of it when I decide to do it. I'm waiting until it reaches the time to actually change the hydraulic oil, because you pretty much have to drain it out to change it. And it holds like 5 or 10 gallons of oil in there, and I don't want to waste all of it, so I'm just going to wait until it's time to change it, which is about 550 hours. So probably doing it later this fall or maybe in the spring. That's it. Pretty much just those three issues I've had. The relay, the PTO seal, and the hood latch. To me, minor things, no big deal to do. A couple of things that Mahindra does not state in their manuals while I'm back here. The first one is the maintenance section where it tells you when to change all the filters and the fluids and stuff like that. It does not. There's, let's see, this right here, show you where it's at. This one right here is a inline hydraulic oil filter. I found it in the repair manual, one of the manuals. So when a tractor reached 10 or 20 hours, whatever it was, I replaced all the filters, including that one. But this is not one you usually change during any maintenance period. So just FYI. The other thing, I think I did a video about this previously. Let's take this camera off here. There is a grease fitting right up here. It's not in any of the manuals. It's not in the maintenance section of what to grease. But there's a grease fitting right up here. It's not on all 2555s. It's on some of them. This one has it, and this is right where you would fill in the oil. So it's right up there. And then to figure out how much grease you're supposed to put in, because you don't want to put too much in, there is a, I think it's over here, a hex nut plug you take out, and you keep pumping grease in with a grease gun until you start seeing it come out. So those are a couple of quirky things. Ugh. Sorry about the movement of the camera. There we go. And that's about it. I'm very pleased with it. I thought I would do a good review of the tractor and everything else. And something else to mention. There's always something else to mention. So, like I said, this is 55 horsepower, engine horsepower. It's probably 45 at the PTO. And it's a hydrostatic transmission, which also uses a little bit of the horsepower. I have had, as you can see in my previous videos, no problems at all with having enough horsepower to use any of the attachments, fully loaded, fully engaged with the ground, whatever else, and low and medium. I don't use high on a property because it's just too fast, and it really is not powerful enough to, and that's not what it's used for on here. It's only used for transporting it down the road. I even have some horsepower left over to use. I figured just in case if I ever get a rototiller, that will use a lot more horsepower because it'll be rotating the tines and engaging in the ground. And you know, the tractor's not bogged down at all. And that's it. It's been a really good tractor. I'm very pleased with it. And I would buy it again. Alright folks, thanks for watching. If you found this helpful, just subscribe and click the thumbs up and ring the bell. Thanks.